Hey friends, it's Loree with the blog Wagon Wheel Homestead, and it's the first week of May. We're getting ready to start doing a lot more activities outside in the garden, and my husband and children have lots of things they're doing. So I'm going to start a series on simple summer meals from the pantry. So these are things that you might be able to pack in a lunch or things that can be made really quickly, because if you're like me, you'd like to get back outside just as quickly as you can. I do not want to spend all day in the kitchen in the summer, and I certainly don't want to heat up the kitchen. So is there freezer meals I can make? Are there things I can make that will make our lives easier and get us fed and keep us nourished without having to depend on the grocery store? Things we can make from our homestead pantry. So today I'm going to show you how to make sourdough pizza pockets, or you might also call them sourdough calzones. You can put a variety of fillings in them. You could make big batches of these and put them in the freezer. They're very easy to grab right out of the freezer and take with you somewhere and heat up, or even just let them thaw on the windshield of your vehicle if you're busy working, and they will be ready to eat come mealtime. So these are made, as I mentioned, with sourdough, so they will be very healthy for you to eat and easy for your body to digest. And so with that, let's jump right on into it. To the bowl of my stand mixer, I add half a cup of milk. I prefer to use buttermilk, half a cup of starter, and I am actually doubling the recipe here, so it will make 16 pizza pockets. A single recipe will make 8, but I'm going to give you the instructions for a single recipe. 1/4 cup sugar, half a cup melted butter. You could also use coconut oil or any kind of fat. Two eggs. This is my Bosch mixer, and I use it every day, and I will put a link for it in the description box below. It is so handy, and it really holds up well. I've had this one for several years, and it gets used a lot. So I highly recommend a Bosch mixer. 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. You can turn it on and mix it a bit. 3½ cups of flour, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. You can use sourdough discard or active sourdough starter in this recipe. It doesn't really matter, because we're going to depend on the soda, the baking soda and the baking powder to actually raise and make the end product nice and puffy. And then I just let this mix for a little while I finish cleaning up the kitchen. I like to start these the night before and let the dough set overnight so it can be long fermented. If you don't have time for that, you can certainly mix them up and then roll them out right away. Just depends on your schedule, but it is much healthier for you if you can mix them up ahead of time and let them ferment. Here I'm doing the window pane test, just making sure the dough has a nice consistency, and if you stretch it really thin, you should be able to see through it. Something else I really like about the Bosch mixer is this lid. So I am just going to put the lid on and leave it right in the mixer overnight. Now the next day, this is actually right before lunchtime, so I just let my dough set in the mixer that entire time. I am grating some butter cheese that we made back in December. We have a couple Jersey cows, and we do all of our own dairy products. So that's really a huge money saver when it comes to the grocery store. And I'm just going to mix up the filling by browning some breakfast sausage. You could also use hamburger. Pizza is so flexible, so just think about any kind of pizza filling that you might enjoy, and you can put all different kinds of fillings in these pockets. Then I'm just going to divide the dough into 8 pieces. I'm actually doing 16 pieces because I doubled the recipe. This is our home canned pizza sauce. I'm just adding that to my browned breakfast sausage with some cheese. You could also add olives, mushrooms, onions, anything you want. I'm also adding home canned sauerkraut to a portion of this hamburger that I have taken out and put in a separate bowl, and added some cheese to that as well, and those are going to be Reuben pockets. The options really are endless as far as filling you can put into these. We like to do broccoli and cheese. You could do spinach and feta with some hamburger. You could do a chicken Alfredo with home canned chicken. Then I'm just going to take about a half a cup of this Reuben filling and put it into a circle of dough. And I tend to overfill everything, but probably about a half a cup of filling will be plenty. Then you just pinch it closed and place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet, or you could also just stick it on parchment paper and then stick it right onto a preheated pizza stone in your oven. Today I'm just using a baking sheet. Add a little more flour to your counter and just keep rolling these out. It really doesn't take very long to roll this dough out, especially when it's mixed up ahead of time. And it probably took me less than 5 minutes to mix the dough up the night before. Then I'm just going to roll these out really quick and put the filling in them, put them into bake while I take care of some of my other kitchen duties. And right away I have several lunches made and ready to go at any time. I like to put these cooled pizza pockets into some sandwich bags and then just pop them right into the freezer. These are great for back to school lunches. Like I said, sometimes we throw them on the dash of our vehicle if we're gone working, and they thaw out and then they're ready to eat in time for lunch. Lots of different options. You could also put a dessert filling in these. You could put breakfast filling. It really doesn't matter. These are also really good for camping, any kind of trips. And something else I've done is I've actually left the dough all together instead of cutting it into 8 pieces. Rolled it out like you would roll out cinnamon rolls. Put all of your filling on them and roll them up as if they were cinnamon rolls, and just cut them apart, and you can bake them in a pan and they're like pizza roll-ups. This one I'm going to show you how I'm using the pizza filling. This is again just breakfast sausage, pizza, sauce, and homemade cheese. The sourdough in these makes them much easier to digest because it breaks down all of the phytic acid in the gluten. So if you happen to be gluten sensitive or know somebody that is, this is a really great recipe for anyone that has a gluten intolerance. And if not, it's just more gut healthy for you anyway. They don't have to be perfectly round. As long as they get your family fed, that is what is important. You're also going to want to have preheated your oven somewhere during this process to 350 degrees. And then I've just taken an egg and beat it with a little bit of water in a bowl, and I'm just going to brush it onto the top of these with a pastry brush. This is optional, but it does give them a nice, beautiful golden color on the top and makes them look even more beautiful. Alright, I'm just going to pop these right into the oven and bake them at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Now it's time to clean up the kitchen. I like to cook in cast iron, and so the easiest way to clean your cast iron is just to put a little bit of water in it, especially if it's got anything like cheese or anything melted into it. And I just boil it for a couple minutes and then take it to my sink and rinse it out. I do not use any soap on my cast iron, and then I just let it dry, and then I usually like to get a little bit of fat, this time it's butter, and just rub it right onto my pan. Just gives it a nice seasoning and makes it ready for me to use next time. Time to check on the pizza pockets, see if they are done. Look at that beautiful golden color. These are so delicious. And once again, it's just easy to make up a whole bunch of them and put them in the freezer, and then you have meals for when you're busy and on the go. We are gonna eat some of these for lunch today and then put some in the freezer also. This is the Reuben pocket. So delicious. The sourdough in the crust just makes it amazing. And these are made with home canned sauerkraut from our garden. So really the only thing we didn't produce for this recipe from our own homestead is the flour, the sugar, and the salt that was used in the recipe. I guess the baking soda and baking powder as well, but very minimal ingredients that we did not produce on our own homestead. These are a sure hit with kids as well. Everybody really enjoys these. Be sure to visit the blog wagonwheelhomestead.com and search sourdough pizza pockets for a full printable recipe. Well, thanks for coming along with me as we made these sourdough pizza pockets. I hope this was inspiring to you. I hope you try this recipe. If you do, please hit the like and subscribe button and comment on this video and let us know what fillings you tried and how you enjoyed these. And we will be back next week with another simple summer meal for you to make. Bye-bye.